it's time.
This is the CSL This Week. Hey folks, I'm Alex Bastiavansky. Welcome to our very first show of the year. Now every week we'll be bringing you all the best from the Canadian Soccer League. Game highlights, studio interviews, player and team stories. The season actually kicked off back in late May, so we got a lot to catch up on. Let's kick things off with some game highlights. And you know, the Serbian White Eagles have been a CSL powerhouse for years, but they were slow out of the gate this season with just one win in their first 3 games. And their offense was sputtering, scoring just 4 times over that span. Enter Milos Stepanovic, a former White Eagle. The Serbs reacquired him 2 weeks ago from Brampton, where he scored 16 goals last year. And on Saturday, the young striker showed just why he's considered one of the league's best, which was highly unfortunate for Burlington SC. CSL game highlights now brought to you by Leica Sports, official sponsor of the Canadian Soccer League.
The pre-game handshake was about the only thing Burlington would smile about in this game. It was ugly from the opening whistle. 15th minute, former Canadian youth player Stepanovic takes the pass just before midfield to stay onside. He's got enough time to crawl in if he wants here. Milos easily beats Vladimir Vucinovic. 1-0 Serbia, and Milos was just getting warmed up. 8 minutes later, Ramon Bailey, he actually had a pretty good game for Serbia. Here he crosses for Luka Maric for the easy tap-in out front of the net. 2-0 White Eagles firmly in control, and that's how things were at the break. On to the second half we go. The Burlington defense, they really just took the night off. Bailey and Maric hook up again. Poor Vucinovic just hung out to dry here. 3-0 Serbs, and they were nowhere close to being done. 6 minutes later, Milos just toys with his defender here, hammers it home past Vladimir. 4-0 White Eagles through 68 minutes of play. Then it's Stepanovic acting the playmaker as he sets up Luka Maric for his second of the night. Serbs on cruise control, leading 5-0. And then finally it's Stepanovic making the slaughter complete just before full time, where he does the cheeky little flick over Vladimir. Another goal for Milos. This one was painful for Burlington though. 6-0 Serbia is your final. The White Eagles looking dangerous with their new player addition. Stepanovic leading the game with a hat trick. Brampton City United hosting Toronto, Croatia on Sunday. Brampton undefeated actually heading into this contest. Mind you, they'd only played 2 games at that point. 10 minutes in, Eugene Kodzo gets down to make the big stop on Dario Brezak to keep the game scoreless. United's best chance comes late in the first half. Keeper Christian Maraldo comes off his line, gets stuck in no man's land. Peter Niles trials his luck from 20 yards out, rings it off the crossbar though. A great chance for Brampton. On to the second half we go. Late in the half, deep in injury time, Peter Mignon gets cut down, which leads to this. Free kick, set play, big Sven Rapovic. We've seen him do this countless times before off free kicks. That's the dagger. At the 96-minute mark, just before the full-time whistle. Tough pill to swallow for the young Brampton squad, who suffered their first loss of the year in heartbreaking fashion. 1-0 Croatia is your final. The York Region Shooters playing host to the North York Astros at St. Joan of Arc Stadium. York pounces early, just 2 minutes in. Richard West collects the pass, slams it home. 1-0 for the York Region Shooters, but North York responds just 7 minutes later. Looks like a carbon copy of the Shooters' first goal. Jose de Souza making no mistake in close, and it's all knotted up at 1 apiece. 34th minute, the Astros give up a juicy rebound here. Nobody there to clear it away. West pounces for his second of the game. Shooters go up 2-0. On to the second half we go. 56th minute, no doubt Kevin Pinto has to smother this ball. He doesn't. Ricky Herron eats it up. 3-1 Shooters. and they'd actually add one more in the 75th minute to complete the rout. 4-1 York Region is your final. The Shooters looking good early in the season. They're the last unbeaten team in the CSL. Other games to tell you about: June 15th, Kingston and Waterloo, last year's two finalists, tied 4-4. And the same day, Niagara spanks London City 6-0 from Hellenic Center. And just a quick look at the league standings. The York Region Shooters, as mentioned, sit in first place, the last unbeaten team. They've got 9 points. For the up-to-date news, stats, and standings, head to CanadianSoccerLeague.ca.
Hi, I'm Marcus Baker. I play for Brampton City United. I play center back. What I think I bring to this team is the aerial presence in the box. I like to win headers. I like to use my aggression. I also like to bring my leadership to the team. I have vast experience playing around the world. The teammates are awesome. We get along very well. Practice is always competitive. The boys like to joke around, but when it comes down to the game, we're serious. This year for the World Cup, my team is Argentina. I just think Messi has a lot to prove. I feel like the Argentina team has one of the best attacks in the World Cup. This year, I think Brampton's going to do something special. I think we have the talent and the coaching to go all the way this year. It always pushes us to strive for better and represent the city of Brampton.
We've got to take a quick break, but stick around. The CSL this week. We'll be back in just a moment.
Welcome back. Well, the 2013 CSL season was full of surprise, intrigue, excitement, and heartbreak. Let's take a look back now at what went down last year in what was undoubtedly one of the best seasons in the league's long history.
The 2013 Canadian Soccer League season was one for the ages. 12 teams kicked off in May, and at that time, there was one big question on everyone's mind. Could anyone finally knock off two-time defending champion Toronto, Croatia? At first, it didn't appear it would happen. The Croats got off to a torrid start and didn't pick up their first loss until July. A team that took a slight step back in 2013 was Niagara United. After making the playoffs in their expansion year, the second-year squad slid to last place overall in the standings, which is 3 wins in 22 games. A disappointing showing for a team that's developed a solid, loyal following in just a short period of time. Expansion team Burlington SC pulled off some huge wins early on, including a victory over a talented, veteran Waterloo squad. Eventually, though, the grind of the season caught up with them, and they finished 10th overall. Still, they racked up 7 wins, a respectable amount for a team just getting its feet wet against CSL competition. The North York Astros came within a whisper of qualifying for the playoffs for the first time since 2008. Behind the veteran leadership of Joey Mello and playing an entertaining brand of football, it came down to the wire for the last playoff berth. Painfully for the Astros, the team were edged out on the last day of the season by the Serbian White Eagles for the 8th and final spot by a single point. There were a few of the usual suspects rounding out the top 8 postseason qualifiers. Serbia, who came to life after a slow start to make the grade. The aforementioned Toronto, Croatia, who missed out on the regular season title by just 3 points. And the York Region Shooters, a veteran-laden squad that's always in the thick of the playoff race year in, year out. Joining the traditional powers were several teams unaccustomed to playoff success. London City put together a solid season behind the goal-scoring prowess of Marin Grgic to finish 7th in the standings and qualify for the playoffs for the first time since 1999. Windsor, a team that's no longer in the league, finished in 6th. SC Waterloo finished up 5th, and as we'll see, saved their big push for the postseason. Brampton United flirted with first for a portion of the season, and with super sniper Milos Sampanovic leading the way, finished 4th. The biggest story, though, was Kingston FC. The second-year team captured the hearts and imagination of their hometown on the way to winning the regular season title and garnering the #1 playoff seed in the process. Quarterfinal number 1 saw 7-seed London City pulling off a huge upset over number 2 York Region, needing penalty kicks to knock off the heavily favored Shooters. The second quarter was a vicious battle between 3-seed Croatia and 6-seed Windsor. With numerous red cards handed out, the Croats survived the war of attrition to advance with a 2-0 victory. 5-seed Waterloo knocked off number 4 Brampton in the third quarter, opening eyes with a big 4-0 shutout. In top seed Kingston were pushed to the limit by the 8th-seeded Serbian White Eagles in the final quarter, needing extra time to drop the pesky Serbs by a 2-1 count. Semi-final number 1 saw Croatia's run of championships come to an end at 2. Waterloo, which features numerous players who have spent time playing professionally in Europe, nudged out the Croats on penalty kicks to advance. In the second semi, there were more anxious moments for top-seeded Kingston, who went down early to London City. 2 goals by CSL MVP Guillaume Soro sealed their place in the finals though, and they prevailed 4-2. So the championship was set, with Kaler Field in Niagara Falls playing host. Waterloo, a team that was red hot entering the playoffs, veteran, experienced, tested, against Kingston, whose high-octane offense had scored 69 goals in just 22 regular season games. In the end, Waterloo would not be denied, featuring numerous players that had previously won CSL championships with other squads. Their experience was simply too much for Kingston to handle. A 3-1 triumph for the Blues made it a sweep for Waterloo, as their second division squad also captured the league title earlier in the day. So is it fair to say that Waterloo flew under the radar? Perhaps. It's possible they were somewhat overlooked despite their skill and experience. One thing is for sure though, this year they won't be surprising anyone. The hunters become the hunted, and the stage is set for a 2014 season that could just be the best one yet. We've got to take a quick break, but stick around. The CSL this week. We'll be back in just a moment.
Welcome back. Joining me in the studio now is the owner slash trainer slash water boy slash pretty much everything for Brampton City United, Mike DiMatteo. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Alex.
Yeah, so we just watched the highlights a couple segments ago against Croatia. It's painful. A painful loss, scoreless for the entire game, and then the last few seconds, literally before the final whistle and deep in injury time, Croatia wins the game. Tough pill to swallow.
It was a tough loss. It was a hard loss, but if you told me prior to the season that we'd be in the game and we'd lose 1-0 on the final stroke of the game, I would have taken it. But expectations changed, and after the first 2 performances, boys were really disappointed not to come away with 3 points in that game.
Really young team this year you guys had, which is a bit of a different direction than you've had in the past few seasons. Before, you guys had some real seasoned Canadian Soccer League talent, guys like Milos Simpanovic. I could go on and on and on. But this year, I believe you told me before, you've got an 80% roster turnover this year. Why so many changes, and why did you get rid of so many veterans?
Well, a bit of it had to do with the direction. I mean, we're a development league. It's taken us 2 to 3 years to build our youth program to the level it is. Now what's happening, things that we started doing 3 and 4 years ago are coming to fruition. Those young players that were good enough to get onto our reserve and excel are now making the first team, and we've invested heavily into their development.
Case in point, Leifert Allen, who you told me to watch out for when I was at the Croatia game, and you were right, the guy's phenomenal. Just 19 years old, and a lot of pride for you in terms of that, because he's one of those guys who's come up through the Brampton United system, isn't he?
That's correct. It's unfortunate we couldn't give him a little bit more service, and we didn't do the things we normally do well. So he was limited in what he could do, but you will see a lot from this player. He's a terrific individual. He's got great skill, and he's a really, really bright talent.
Are you surprised that he's only 19 years old, that he's been able to step into the first division team and do as well as he's done already? He's got 4 goals so far.
It hasn't really surprised me. He's had the talent, his maturity in the way he's reading the game, and how far it's come in the last 6 months. Right. That part has surprised me. I thought it would take us a little bit deeper into the season, possibly into early next year, to reach this level of continuity and tightness with the team. But they've gotten there at a really, really fast point. Like you said, we have a major turnover, mainly because our continued focus on the youth development. Right. But we're very happy with where we're at.
One other guy I want to talk about is Alessandro Fernandez. And this guy's an absolutely fascinating story, actually. We're going to do a feature on him later on in the year, a full story on him. But I just wanted you to give us kind of the Coles notes on his story. Cuban international, comes to Canada. What happened? Why is he on the team?
Well, I guess Ray and a couple of others players, when the Cuban national team was here, kind of defected. They got their status. We signed Ray last year, and it was a tough year for Ray. I mean, it's a new culture. He doesn't speak the language. He didn't have exposure to the CSL previously. So last year was his first year, and we were going through a transition period also. This year he understands the league. He's a leader on the field. His skill, and
he's solid back there.
He's amazing.
He is, yeah.
He's amazing.
Yeah. And what does he bring? He obviously brings an element of leadership to this team too, doesn't he? Experience.
Well, just the way he moves and the way he plays. I mean, the young players don't realize it, but they absorb so much. I mean, they look at him as a leader. Yeah. They have nothing but admiration for him, and he's just so fluid, so smooth a player, so intelligent, that they just love working with him, and it's contagious. And you can see it's had a big impact on the youth players we have, and it's had a big impact on knowing that they're ready to go now, and we're going with them. We're still missing a few pieces, but we thought it would take us longer to get to this point. I think over the next month or two, if we continue to do the things we can, I think you're going to see some really exciting football with really, really great results.
It's going to be fun to watch.
It's going to be a very exciting season.
Awesome. Mike, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, stick around. The CSL this week. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back. Well, one of the best stories of 2013 was the play of Kingston FC. After a difficult expansion season in 2012 that saw them pick up just 4 wins, Kingston turned things around in a big way last year. Not only did they rocket up the standings, but they did so playing a gorgeous brand of football that won them hearts as well as games. Kingston FC, this week's CSL team report brought to you by Days Inn, official hotel of the Canadian Soccer League. 2013 was in many ways a dream season for Kingston FC. After a disappointing expansion season the year previous, the squad ran roughshod over the Canadian Soccer League. With a high-octane attack and solid defensive structure, Kingston captured the regular season championship in just their second year.
I think everything sort of came together in more ways than we could have really ever anticipated. You know, after the first season the team had, it wasn't, you know, obviously it wasn't where anyone wanted the club to be. You know, some would say we'd hit rock bottom, I suppose. They brought in, you know, myself, Cadlin, Jason Massey, a lot of guys that really played massive roles in our club doing well last season. And I think as a group of 18 players, we just really bought into the system, and we all played our role to the point where, you know, we couldn't have really done much better. And I think it showed with the result, I suppose, at the end of the year.
Kingston seemed poised to make it a double, both the regular season and playoff championships. Heavily favored heading into the final, they ran into a veteran Waterloo squad that was peaking at just the right time. And the dream became a nightmare as Waterloo ran away with a convincing 3-1 victory. It was a tough pill to swallow for a team that had been so dominant all season.
Yeah, it was very, very tough, but we know in our hearts, we did not play that day. We did not perform anywhere near our capabilities. It was a massive disappointment to us, but we were not scratching our heads wondering why. We knew why.
We probably missed experience. Some players, it was the first final. So I don't know, we were really close. Like, won the season, the championship was a big thing for us, and like maybe after like we drop a little bit, I don't know. But yeah, we're gonna have another chance this season.
This season, the goal remains the same, regular season and playoff champions. And with much of their core returning from 2013, the team has the tools in place for another strong run. Last year, Kingston scored 69 goals, 22 better than the next highest team. So needless to say, offense is not a problem. They boast the CSL's most dangerous weapon, reigning league goal-scoring champion and MVP, Guillaume Serrault, who racked up 28 goals in 22 games.
He's the best striker I think I can safely say that I've ever played alongside. He brings so much more than just goals. Obviously, those are the things that people notice. You know, you're not going to score 30 goals in the CSL and not, you know, be known for his goal-scoring ability. What he does off the ball, what he does in build-up play for the team is massive. It's really important, you know, for myself as a center back. One of my outlets is always Guy. He's always on. He always wants the ball. He's demanding of each other, of his teammates. And, you know, sort of in the same vein as Colin, he really does expect the best out of everybody. And that's something that you can only appreciate in a player, especially a guy that plays up front with as much confidence as he does.
The big Frenchman feeds off the remarkable playmaking skills of midfielder Edgar Soglo, now in his third season with Kingston after a previous stint with Capital City FC.
Edgar brings width, provides us somewhere to go when we're going sideways. He brings skill, individual ability to beat a player. He brings speed, his quickness off the mark. He brings composure. He can finish when he's asked. And he brings a great spirit, and he's a top player in my eyes.
Romanian Catalin Liceoiu is another part of Kingston's devastating offensive arsenal. Deadly from any distance, he's a free kick specialist who's left the opposition shaking their heads many times.
For me, it's like he's the better player with I play in my life. Like he's really smart. Like he understands the game. Like I never see people understand a game like this. Like it's really easy to play with a guy like this. He play one touch, make the run behind me, give good balls. Like it's really amazing.
On the back end, Joe Zuppo and Ryan McCurdy anchor a defense core that allowed just 30 goals last season. Zuppo doesn't hesitate to extol the virtues of McCurdy's play.
Hey, my center back partner, he's a great guy to be around. He's phenomenal with the group in and out of the locker room. You know, he lightens the mood. He's a great character to be around, and above all else, he's a phenomenal player. Very strong, very dependable center back, and somebody that I feel very comfortable playing next to, especially in such a position that's as critical as center back is to this game.
Reigning CSL Coach of the Year Colin Muldoon's squad is talented and disciplined. And after last season's championship disappointment, they're hungry to finally take that last step to greatness.
It's motivational to know that we got so close and then just to fall short. Sky's the limit, to be quite honest with you. I think this team has all the capabilities and all the potential to do phenomenal things, and I really do hope in both divisions now that we can win the double and really make Kingston proud of the team we've sort of assembled.
And before we go, let's check out the play of the week, brought to you by Olympic Trophies. North York against Kingston. Jose de Souza with the sweet feet. He cranks it from 20 yards out. Gorgeous shot to beat Yaroslav Tazar. That cued the comeback for North York as they tied Kingston 3-3. Jose de Souza with your Olympic Trophies play of the week.
And that's all the time we've got for today, but just remember, you can stay up to date with what's happening in the CSL. All the new stats and standings can be found at CanadianSoccerLeague.ca, and you can follow the league on Twitter at CSL_soccer. Thanks for watching, folks. We'll see you next week.